Streaming. Yeah, today obviously this week is a good week for us. It's a bye week. Generally, this is a week where you self-scout, you self-evaluate your football team, what we've done offensively, defensively, as well as special teams. You also evaluate your players, and that's very important. We're at a point now, I think, with 7 games left, we kind of got a feel for who we are as far as athletically, what players we have. Now it's how do we fit them in the system and utilize their strengths so they can be successful. So that's kind of where we're at. A couple things you look at what we've, I would say, not done but need to improve on. Scoring offense. We're averaging about 22 points a game. You'd like to be in the mid-30s. Running the football, we're about 127 yards a game. You'd like to be a little higher than that. On completion percentage defensively, we got to get that down. It's about 62%. You don't want to live that way. Interceptions defensively, we only have 2. We've caused a lot of fumbles, 14, but we only recovered 5 of them. Red zone defense is not where we'd like it on both sides of the ball, to be quite honest. Sacks are always critical in games. We got to get to the quarterback a little bit better than we have. We're at 10 sacks. That's about 2 a game. That's kind of not the number you want. Third downs are always big in any league. We've got to improve both sides of the ball there. And fouls, I'm real big on fouls. We got 25 fouls. That's 5 a game. That's too much. And I think if you look at us in the fourth quarter, we've struggled in the fourth quarter. We're -4 as far as points scored and points we've scored. So that's not a good quarter for us. Fourth quarter's been okay. We're only +10 in the fourth. We need to close games out. This is why I think when you watch us play, we're in a lot of one-score games. Either we start slow and we get going, and then at the end we kind of let our guard down and people kind of get back in the game. And so that's what we are right now. Third quarter's been a good quarter for us. Last year that was our bad quarter. We weren't very good in the third quarter. This year, so far, it's pretty good. We're +19. So that's a good thing. So there's a lot of things that we have to do better. We have some distractions that are looming. HBO will be here next Sunday. The Atlanta Falcons will be here for a week on Monday. So there's a lot of things swirling right now that we got to make sure we don't get caught up in all that stuff and just focus on what we need to do to get better this next 7 weeks. So that's kind of where we're at.
Paul?
Hey, Coach Paul Richardson with the Sports Cave. Last year, you talked about winning on the road a lot and how you had to. This year, 2-0 on the road, Michigan State, Cal.
Yeah.
Are they, I don't want to say buying in, but are they understanding that that's important and they're playing better for it?
I think this. I think our 2 road wins, when you look at the teams, they were similar. Tough physical football teams, not a lot of scoring. And so that helped us. We didn't get behind early in the game. We could play methodically how we wanted to play. That helps you on the road. You know, I always say if you can take the crowd out of it and keep the score down early, it's hard on the home team, not the visiting team. It's hard on the home team because of the expectations and everything that your fan base has when you play at home. So when you eliminate the noise, it becomes more. It becomes harder. It's like us. We don't start fast. And if we can keep people down as far as points, we can kind of build our momentum, and we were able to do that, fortunately, on 2 road games thus far.
Doug Haller, The Athletic. Herm, you mentioned the Falcons. 2 questions. You mentioned the Falcons. Why are they coming? And also the HBO part of it, yes, I can understand how that's going to be a distraction, but in what ways would maybe that exposure benefit the program?
Well, I think it benefits the program because, it kind of lets recruits look at what you do behind the scenes a little bit and how you coach, and I think they get a good feel of how we do things. That's the good part. The other part is I've been involved in these things before, and I've said it, Players that don't talk, all of a sudden they start talking. You know, because it's television. They want to see themselves on television. You know, all this. I mean, I've been with pro players that hadn't talked in 3 years, and when those guys showed up, all of a sudden they had dances and they were telling jokes, and I said, "You haven't spoken in 3 years. Why do you talk now?" So I just think to handle all that for our staff too. These guys have never been through that. Our staff. I mean, it's never happened here, to be quite honest. It hasn't happened hardly anywhere in college football. This is new. Pro football has happened. I've dealt with it. But it's something you can't get involved in all that stuff, you know. Atlanta's coming. They play, obviously, the Cardinals. So they're coming, and they're going to stay a week here and then play on Sunday. I know a lot of the folks there, and obviously Ray worked for them as well. But it'll be fun to see some of those guys, visit with them. And I told the players, hey, they're going to practice in the bubble. If you have any aspirations, go over there and watch how they practice. Watch how fast they do things. You know, and there's not that many of them. There's only about 50 guys. You travel for 50 guys. So there's not many. They'll see that too. But I think all those things help you as far as recruiting. Those are all things that you can use in the proper way, and I think it helps us.
Michelle Gardner, Arizona Republic. Coach, can you update us on the injury factor? You had guys that didn't play and a lot of guys banged up, and obviously an off week is good.
Yeah, Kobe is having surgery. He has surgery on his hand, but he should be available to play. So it's a good rest week for him. Steve has a little sore neck. We kept him out. We kept Eno out. You always keep running backs out when you get a bye, just because of what they have to do. Quarterback, he participated in a few drills, kept him out. Tyler Wiley is still, Tyler Johnson is still coming off the hamstring, so we kind of babied him a little bit. I want to say that's probably it for most of our guys. There's some sore guys, and we're limited in certain reps with certain players, I think, which is what you always do on a week like this. No pads. I mean, the offensive linemen had pads early because they needed to do some things individually in their individual groups. We spent 20 minutes for individual just to get ourselves better. I think this is a week where you get better with the players, techniques and fundamentals. That's real important to me, going back to the basics. Don't lose sight of that. And just defining what we want to do offensively and defensively, and maybe, defining things even more, being more specific things. And I think this is a good week to get all that accomplished.
Herm, Nick King from 3TV CBS 5. We're like 5 weeks into the season. You just won this National Coach Award for the second time. How do you react to that?
Oh, it's news to me. I don't. I think anytime you receive an award as a coach, it's obviously humbling. But for the most part, it's an award shared by your whole staff. That's a staff award. It has nothing to do with me. It really doesn't. I don't know anything about it. It's the first time. Thanks. Let me know, but I'm oblivious, man. I don't know what's going on in the world. I don't. I just come to work every day. But it's when you receive something like that, it's obviously humbling. Bobby Dodd. The man was a great football mind and a good football coach. And it's a staff award. And it don't seem to me it's about the staff. Tell our staff they want another award, I guess. Did you? Okay. That's fine. I don't. But I appreciate you, my man. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Alex Simon, Cronkite News. Herm, when you said after the game Friday that your team's kind of naive and they almost don't know better, is that something you kind of see as a good thing, especially with all the freshmen and trying to balance that?
Yeah, you do. Because they just kind of go. They don't. They don't know any better. They don't. They don't. And I don't mention it. I don't talk about it. I just say, we're gonna play these guys, and because they don't know. Young people today, it's not their fault. It's not. And I don't. And I'm gonna say it, and people are gonna say, he's an old school. I learned this a long time ago. No, I'm not old school. I'm right school. I just try to do things right. And I think growing up for me, the history of football was important because that's the era I lived in. Certain teams, certain eras, certain players, certain stadiums, the ambiance of all this stuff. It meant something to me growing up as a young kid, right? Not so much anymore. because there's so much information out there, right? And they just kind of like, it's Michigan State, okay, we're going there. Hard place to win, right? I mean, you know, that would have been big to me, right? When I was their age. Anymore, it's a relief when we win, for me, right? That's what I get out of it now at my age. You're relieved because you said, okay, these kids can enjoy a win, and the coaching staff, with all the work they put in. So I just think every era looks at it a little bit different. But our guys, one thing I know about them, thus far, they've never walked into a stadium, whether it was here or on the road, and didn't think they had an opportunity to win. So that's a good thing. And that's how I want them to feel. I want them to feel that way. Whenever they walk on the grass, we got a chance. If you got a chance, that's all you ask for. And you got to go play.
I just want to double check on Kobe. Were you saying that you don't think he'll miss any time?
No, he should play.
Okay.
He should be able to play.
Okay. And also, when you went back and watched the film
Against Cal.
and watched Eno, just what were your impressions of just how he ran the ball?
Real physical. And, you know, he knew this game was similar to Michigan State. It's going to be a physical contest, especially up front. They got some good linebackers. They do a nice job. And obviously he's the Mandrake guy, you know, 3 touchdowns against a crew like that, and especially where he scored in the money zone, in the red zone, where we're going to give him the ball. And, you know, that's always refreshing when you get your running back going, because when he can make an emphasis and run hard like that, it just kind of makes your team feel good. You know, like you watch a guy like that, when you're watching him, you go, man, this dude's breaking tackles, and it's just like, you like that stuff, you know, and I think, you know, he had one of his better games running against a really stout defense on the road. You know, that's credit to him. And the offensive line as well. They did a nice job of blocking, but a lot of it was on his own. I mean, he made the second guy miss, and he lowered his shoulder a couple times to get some extra yards for us.
Ray Tejas, ABC 15
Yes,
back
sir.
here, Coach. Just the amount of freshmen that you've played this year, how have they developed, and are they coming along the way you have been hoping that they would have through these 5 games?
They are, but every game's a new experience because they've never played these teams. So it's always new to them, you know, and I learn more about them every time we play, individually. Collectively, I got a pretty good eye, but individually, I think that's more important for me, is to know your players individually, how they function. So when the game is going, I can have some words of encouragement, because every guy needs to be encouraged a little bit different, right? And that's, I'm real big on that. I'm real big on hope on that. No matter how bad that one play went, we could get it fixed, and you got to go to this next play now. And so I think how you touch players when the game is being played, that's something I learned from coaches that I played for on the sideline. And it might be a 10-second conversation, but words matter. Words are powerful during the course of the game, because players hear that, and what makes them go, what makes them think, oh, okay, coach is good, and he just told me this, and I'm all right, right? And so it's kind of like, the more I find out about them, the more they play, the better coach I can be for them.
Jordan K., Devil's Digest. You've talked a lot about having your quarterbacks be able to play the entire year, and it seems like when Jaden runs, he's very smart about knowing when to slide or knowing when to get out of bounds. How much have you talked to him about that and about being a smart runner when he does take off?
That was our first conversation. But I think Jaden knows his skill level. He's been this size all through high school. Now, the players he's playing against now are much bigger, they're much faster, but he has a sense of where it's at, you know, of what's about to happen. He understands, in the conversation I have with every quarterback since I've been a coach, know when the journey's over. Just know when it's over, because I don't ever want to have to do what I had to do for the Cal kid, man. You know, he's laying right in front of me, and I knew he was hurt. You could see when he fell, I said, he's hurt. You know, and you know, I've lost enough quarterbacks in my lifetime, and it's never fun, man. It's not fun. I mean, there's a reason the starter's a starter. He's the best guy, and not that the second guy can't play, but you become entirely different, you know, when that guy has to play. So I just think going forward, he knows that, and he can hear me screaming too. I mean, I don't raise my voice a whole lot until he leaves the pocket. And then I'm coaching him. And he might not hear me, but I'm screaming as loud as I can scream. Get down as fast as you can. And he knows it. He knows. And sometimes he comes over and he starts laughing at me. He said, Coach, I said, did you hear me? I heard you, Coach. I said, okay. Because I'm screaming. That's the only time I scream, is when he leaves the pocket. And I'm looking downfield, guys are coming at him, and I'm going, just get out of bounds, man. Just get out of bounds, you know. And sometimes when he's running toward me, I'm waving. Come on. Come on. Come on over here. You know, just be safe, man, because that's important. You know, quarterback's got to protect his throwing shoulder and his head. That's what they got to protect. That's the most important thing. Because if you can't play the next play, you can't help the team. You know, you just can't. And I tell them all, protect your throwing shoulder and protect your head, man. Because that's when you go down, the guys are flying, you know, and all of a sudden you get one that flies over and hits you and something, and then you're laying out on the turf. I'm like, you know, you can't play the next play. You got to be able to play the next play when you leave the pocket. That's what I tell all of them. So that's the journey they take.
Herm, you're talking about some of these sideline conversations that you have to have with players.
Yes.
Not just in the game, but in general. How much do you see your role as head coach? How important is inspiration? How much of an inspirer do you need to be?
Well, I think every player, you know, they need a pat. How you pat them, and I think that's why, you know, there's two types of leaders: the ones that lead with their seat, or the ones that lead with their feet. And I'm the feet guy. I'm always around. You know, I go everywhere. I'm in the training room. I'm in the weight room. I'm in the locker room during the course of a week. I'm everywhere, and I'm gathering information on players. And I've got some young ones now, so you gather some of it in the spring, but you really don't gather the true information till the game starts. And you find out a little bit about them, how they react to all this stuff, right? And I think I've always been that way as a coach. You know, when I became a coach in college, I only had to coach a secondary, so I was good with my guys in the room, you know, and same way in pros until I became a head coach, and I had to expand my envelope, you know, and the first one you got to be hooked onto is a quarterback. You got to know who that guy is. I mean, if you don't know him, you're in trouble. You better know him, and you know, you have conversations with him. Some of them are 20 minutes, some of them are 5 minutes, some of them are 2 minutes, but they're all meaningful because I'm sending a message, you know, that hey man, here's what I'm thinking, what are you thinking? And in the same way with all players, there's always a player or two that you're going to embrace before the game. The guy I embraced in Tampa was John Lynch, and told him, look, I can't play, but take a little bit of me out there with you. I'd appreciate that. That's just me. Because I'd do anything to play again. Because there ain't nothing come close to playing. Nothing. It's just different when you play, man. And I get it, and I know the feeling of what those guys are feeling, and that was my deal with Lynch. We'd embrace right there on the 50 before every game. And we have the biggest bear hug, and I say, man, take me out there with you. You know, and that's just me. I love the game of football. I just do. And I think the more you know about your players in moments of when they need some encouragement, that's what I'm there to do, you know, because I know how hard it is. Hard game, man. It's a hard game. It really is. But that's what I enjoy about it, to be quite honest.
Chris Cartman, Sun Nova Source. Herm, you had a couple really successful counter runs on your touchdown drives, first one, last one. Last year, the team kind of struggled running the ball, and then you went to more gap scheme stuff. So are you seeing a similar sort of trajectory? Do you feel like you're going to be settling in with your run game a little bit?
I would hope so. It started with our offensive line. Hadn't played together first couple games, first three really, and then about the fourth game, you know, it started playing together. So now it's our third game we actually get to play together in a row, where we kind of got it solidified. So that helps you. Knowing what people are trying to do to you because you have a young quarterback, knowing they want to stop the runner. I said that on the offseason. I sat right here and said it. I said, if I'm somebody playing against us, this is what I'm going to do. They didn't need me to say that. They know how to do that, you know, and it's just that's what they're going to do. So how do you counter it? I think the pleasant surprise for us is no one anticipated the quarterback to be a runner. And I don't think he's a runner, but he's averaging about 3 first downs a game unannounced. That helps you. So now all of a sudden he becomes a part of the puzzle where you play us, you go, uh-oh, wait a minute. You know, he's a pretty good runner. And so I just think that helps you too. That definitely helps you. So I think the more we go down this road, the more we find ourselves and what type of running team we're going to become. But here again, you know, points are important. And look, we ran the ball last year and we were averaging about 31 points. We got to get our point total up. Our defense can help on that by giving us a short field, by intercepting some balls, getting some more turnovers. That helps. But we got to score more. You got to score more. College football allows you to score more, and we got to score more points.
Hi, Coach. Brady King, Cronkite News. Going back a little bit, you said Eno was the Mandrake this week.
Yeah.
Can you just reiterate what the Mandrake is and where it came from, and also how he reacted when you told him?
He was good. I think he kind of knew he was going to get it. 3 touchdowns on the road is pretty impressive. As I said, it's just, you know, it goes way back to my days and growing up. I became a Jimi Hendrix fan. I told the story many times as a young kid and went to a concert that I wasn't supposed to be going to, but I went. That's the greatest babysitter I ever had. Then from there, just following him, and then, you know, when you start getting in the coaching profession, you come up with sayings, you know. People say I have some Hermisms, and I don't even know what I say half the time. I really don't. I don't know where they come from. It's just kind of, I'm a thinker, and I just say stuff. And we were in practice one day when I was in Tampa with the Bucks, and I had the secondary, and I was talking to Lynch and those guys, and I said, you know, and trying to do this, and I said, for you to do this and this, I said, you gotta, for some reason I saw a Jimi Hendrix cover, and it had Mandrake on it, right? So you gotta be Mandrake to do this. And they like, who is he? I said, well, he's this guy. I mean, he could do this, he could do that. He's this mystical guy made up in my brain, right? And so I just kind of kept it, you know, just as a zinger, just to throw to the players. You gotta be Mandrake. And they always said, who's Mandrake? They would always ask me that. And then obviously you get to college football and you see all these things happening, you know, like there's all these chains and stuff that other people do, and some people box on the sideline. I said, let's take it from the sideline and let's just make it an award that I could give to a player. I want to give him an award, you know, for being the player of the week for us, as a team. And I said, what would be something kind of good to do? And then obviously the Mandrake guy comes up again in my brain. And then I said, we got to create a poster of this guy. Because visually I never had it on paper, but I needed to put it on paper to what he looked like, right? So we created this guy, and then he got, you know, I said, you got to have a black helmet. You got a shield, you know, you got to have wings, and, you know, he can do all these things. And so we created this guy in my office. We just created him. He just said, y'all want him to look like that, and he's got to look like that. And so then it was a uniform. How do you create the uniform? I said, it's got to be all black, right? And so we created a uniform all black. And I said, I think the players might like this, right? I think they like it. I do. Because it kind of sets them, you know, they all want to be different, but it's a good way to be different, a part of the team different. In fact, you're the Mandrake this week. You carry the mantle. It's the first time our offensive players won it. You know, it's gone to 3 defensive players, and Eno's the first offensive player to win it. So it's kind of one of those deals, having fun with it. You know, I'm not too old to have fun, and I can relate to the players. And it was my way of giving back to them in a way that they can wear it all week. Now, he gets to wear it for 2 weeks because we got to buy. You know, so that's pretty good. So he'll wear it the week of HBO, you know, and they'll talk about Mandrake. And I don't know. It's just, he's this mystical guy. Lynch called me day before yesterday, because he watched the game, you know. He said, who's going to be Mandrake this week? I said, I got somebody. He says, the runner? I said, it's going to be the runner. Right, so, you know, at least Lynch knows who the guy is. I don't know. So that's the story.
Herm, how many times in your NFL career did you do the Hard Knocks thing? I know you did it once with the Chiefs.
We did it once with the Chiefs. Marvin has done it. Okay. So we did it once with Kansas City. They tried to get me to do it in New York, and I said, nah, it'd be a little bit much in New York City. You know.
But you understand the appeal of shows like that kind of take fans behind.
I think it's good. You know, I've always said this: if you do it right, it takes the fan behind the curtain. Kind of how hard it is to be a football player, and all the work. For me, I always say all the work that the coaches actually put in, the hours they spent. You know, and I think sometimes we lose sight of all that. You know, they see the product on Saturday or Sunday whenever they watch a football game. But I think taking people behind the scene is important because you're talking about the game, and you get to promote the game, your sport, football. You get to promote that, and so I always say it's a good thing. I don't. But after about 3 days of it, it becomes a little bit interesting for you, you know, because in the rooms, when you walk in a room, this is what happened to us in Kansas City. Is every room has an electric camera. It just comes on. I mean, I told the coaches, if you got any private thing to say, you need to go outside the building. If you're talking to your wife or something, you know, you need to go outside. Because and people are nice. They'll say, well, we don't get it, but they got it. They might not use it, but they got it, you know. Keep your private matters private. That's what I always say. But I think it's a good way to take fans inside of what's done. It's unique in college because college is a little bit different. You have so many players, right? You got 100 players, and it's kind of interesting how this will work. I think the players are excited, but you got to be careful because anything you say is going to represent your program. And we got good kids, so I'm not worried about that. You guys know I let my players talk, so I don't worry about that part. But I just think the way we can present it, I think it's good for football. It's good for football. Yes, sir.
Hey, Coach, Tyler Drake, 98.7 Arizona Sports. Last season, you entered the bye week under some different circumstances. You know, what can you say about the differences from this year's team compared to last?
Well, more veteran on offense. We had a veteran quarterback. Had a #1 pick as a wide receiver. This year, we not so much, right? Record at this time last year, after 5 games, we were 3-2. Now we're 4-1. Conference record was the same, 1-1. But the team is entirely different. It's an entirely different football team. I mean, it's just, you know, you play 28, 29 redshirt freshmen or freshmen. That's a difference where these guys have played, you know. So, you know, we do things a little bit different on offense because we're trying to figure out what the quarterback is. I think we got an idea now, and so now we can get to more, this is what we're going to try to do, and this is what we're going to try to become. And that's what's good about the self-scout. You know, it came at a good place for us. You know, so we got to improve. We got a lot of work still ahead of us to do. That's where we're at there. Okay, thank you guys. Appreciate you. Ooh.